Jameson has authorized Spider-Man to kill the Spider Slayer. And that is exactly what Spider-Man intends to do. With Spider-Man occupied, Scorpion ambushes Jameson, but before he can do any real damage, he is tackled by the now free Kirk Connors. Elsewhere, the Vulture comes across the trapped citizens but abstains from assaulting them as he mulls over a potential plea bargain. But before either situation develops, Scorpion and Vulture's cybernetic enhancements deteriorate and vanish. A clear sign that once again the superior Spider-Man has defused the threat. But as the relieved survivors exit the raft, a dying Spider Slayer returns for one final ploy. He tries to switch minds with Spider-Man, but continuing with the theme of this arc, Doc is once again prepared. The issue ends on a surprising note. Doc uses a recording of Jameson's order to kill Spider Slayer as blackmail to obtain control over the newly decommissioned raft. The superior Spider-Man will now have an official superior base.
So with the end of this Spider Slayer arc, it seems basically that the superior Spider-Man is becoming more villainous, I guess you would say?
Yeah, throughout the arc he kept saying, I want to be free, I want to cut ties with what Peter Parker was and become himself. And I guess what he means by that is, I'm just going to become more villainous.
Which is a little disappointing, especially because I always go back to the end of Amazing Spider-Man when he promised Peter that he was going to be a hero.
Actually, I think we might be jumping the gun a little bit too much. Yes, he's doing some underhanded things, but in the end he's still trying to be a hero, maybe a little misguided, not completely a villain.
That's true. So one of the first things he does is he takes over the raft and has now made it his own island, Spider Island 2, which is kind of just like a fuck you to Peter.
I thought that was a terrible name. Honestly, I think it's like Slott just basically referencing himself as opposed to coming up with anything original. He's like, hey, I did a Spider Island thing once. I'll just call it 2.
But I like Spider Island. That was like actually one of my favorite events of like the last 2-3 years.
He's like trying to build goodwill off of that. The way this is set up, it's going to be pretty interesting moving forward because the way he gets the raft is by blackmailing Jonah.
Which is pretty good because it's like Jonah's been so good to him lately, and the way he repays that kindness is just like a knife in the back.
Yeah, that's what I didn't get. He had this working relationship with Jonah, and Jonah was, he was like very understanding and supportive of Spider-Man, but now he's just back to hating Spider-Man. I guess this way Doc has the control in the relationship as opposed to Jonah telling him, hey, I want this guy dead. It's going to be more of like Doc saying, hey, I want this, and then Jonah has to comply.
Jonah did pick up Connors, though, because I was actually speculating for a while that the Lizard was going to help out in this prison break, and it was kind of like anticlimactic in the way he did.
Just sort of stepped in. Later he gets shot.
Yeah.
And then he seems very much in control of himself, and he's very rational, saying that, I'm not ready for full freedom yet anyway.
But we also got to keep in mind at the end of Amazing Spider-Man, when Peter was trapped in Otto's body, he was talking to the Lizard. So that could be another player out there who knows the truth, who can piece his information together with Carly and MJ.
And if that's not enough, maybe there's some way that Doc's confession to the Spider Slayer could come back to haunt him. I think that was such a classic villain move where right at the end, where you think you've won, you just reveal your plan. Like right out. You want them to know that you have been so smart all the time,
I just loved how he said, your legacy means nothing because I killed Spider-Man.
I think the coolest thing moving forward is going to be he's going to have henchmen. He said he's going to hire henchmen, make outfits.
Make uniforms.
It's just turning into a parody of itself at this point.
Yeah.
It's just like everyone's just going to see crazy Spider-Man off at his crazy old island with his henchmen running around, looking all goofy.
He's going to be like one of the new like AIMs, there's like AIM and Hydra, like all these terrorist groups out there, and they're just going to be another one that the Avengers just randomly beat on.
So as a grade for Superior Spider-Man number 13, what would you give it?
I'm going to give this issue actually a 3.5 out of 5. The arc wasn't great, but I kind of like the ending. I really like how the relationship is broken down between Superior Spider-Man and Jameson, and I also like Otto just taunting the Spider Slayer as he kills him.
I'm actually going to give this a 2.5 out of 5. That's more a reflection of the entire arc, which I really thought killed the momentum of a series that I was really enjoying. Though I'm really looking forward to what goes on from here, because Doc seems to have lost all pretense that he's Peter Parker. He's just doing whatever he wants to do at this point, and I want to see how a villainous take on a hero is going to play out.
So thanks for watching B3 Comics review of Superior Spider-Man number 13. Before we go, we got a question for you guys.
Now, every good henchman corps needs a lieutenant. So who do you think would be a great lieutenant for Superior Spider-Man's henchmen?
I'm going to go with old Johnny Storm from the Matt Fraction Future Foundation. You know, who's came back from his time-traveling adventure. It's kind of crazy. So it'd just be like two crazy old dudes on Spider Island, too.
I think you always need kind of like a sad sack being a henchman. You know, someone that's always tripping over himself. I mean, it doesn't really fit exactly, but someone like a Toad would be pretty good.
We want to know what you guys think as well, so leave that in the comments below. And also be sure to check us out on Facebook and Twitter. Thanks.